American citizens are voluntarily leaving America. How do I know this? I'm a real estate transaction coordinator. I've been a real estate transaction coordinator for about 15 years. I've owned my own business. It'll be 9 years in September. In the 9 years that I've owned my own business, I have closed over 7,000 real estate transactions. And I have never seen what I am seeing right now. Currently, out of the 11 listings that I currently have under contract and managing, 5 of them, 5 families, are selling their homes to move abroad. 5 out of the 11, so almost half. And every single one of those 5 homes are under contract for over $1 million. So that's telling me that the wealthy are leaving. Back in the day when I was closing over 120 transactions per month, I would maybe have 1 seller per year selling their home to move abroad. But to have 5 all at once and above the $1 million price point, this is North Carolina and South Carolina markets, okay? This is not California. This is North Carolina, South Carolina, okay? It's like, I'm not an economist, but this is like a red flashing light warning. I have never seen this in 15 years that I've been in the real estate industry. So, yeah, just a little random factoid for you on this Wednesday morning.
I look like absolute hell, but I wanted to come on here and say that my heart is literally breaking for our country and for the people in it. I just had to walk out of a restaurant because she stood there trying to tell me that everything happening was the fault of Joe Biden. This person, and I'm not going to name him, this person who talks about God all the time, goes to church regularly, and voted for that thing, and that is what he is. He's not human. And if we want to get biblical, then maybe we are in the end times, because I do believe he and Musk are the Antichrist. They tried to raid an elementary school today in Chicago. ICE, they tried to raid it. Thankfully, the school wouldn't let them come in, but they tried. Those are the children. Those are babies. They also have taken down the government website for reproductive rights. That's great. Let's just go ahead and kill women. What does it matter? Apparently, we don't matter. My children are living in a world with fewer rights than I had. This cannot stand the way it is. We have got to stand together in unity and not back someone who would demand an apology and belittle a bishop for saying nothing more than please have mercy on those who need it.
I think today we are seeing the world's biggest reset mod that we are seeing today. Why am I saying so? The world's biggest reset mod. The people that thought that the United States was a great country, was a big country, and especially those guys who sold the American lie, meritocracy, that if you work hard, you're going to be getting everything that you want in the world. You can get rich. Of course, America marks one of the continents. The United States specific marks one of the countries with the world's most rich people. But try to hear their story. Is it through meritocracy? At least I'll say 10% of them. something that was beautifully made, American Dream, something that everyone wanted to see, something which was more credible. And so this has led to something, because something that was initially thought to be great, people are getting to see the true colors of the United States. And like, people are like comparing the life living standards of China and the living standards of the United States, and people are getting to see the clear picture of what really the United States is. Majority of people coming out that they were sold a lie of living the biggest dream that you ever wanted, owning the properties that you want. And today, one of the most lied to people, group of people, is white people of the United States, the white America. Remember, the issues of race and racism, ethnic groups that the United States is divided like differently, people embracing different cultures, people from different backgrounds coming to the United States. All these people came to chase or to live the American dream, right? We have a large number of immigrants who are growingly ever wanted to come to the United States and see all these great things and praises that history and books said about the United States. So all these things, if there's a group of people that were lied to, are white Americans. Remember, the system was built by people who look like them. The system was being controlled by people who look like them. And then they decided to make their lives more comfortable and make other group of people their lives not comfortable. Therefore, we add the marginalized group, and we have the group of people that controlled the United States. One of the top richest people, the 100 top richest people, you'll get to find that 70% are white folks. The remaining are all other races that are remaining. But that explains to you something, that the system initially was protecting, the initial system initially was putting the meritocratic lie to them. But we have some of them that got away with it. They got rich, they got everything that they ever wanted. Also, there's an exemption. We have white folks that really work hard to get what they have today. But in this discussion today, I'm talking about a group of white folks that were lied to. They were lied to about the American system. They were lied to about all this thing. And now, the sight of white Americans breaking down in tears, lamenting the loss of the so-called American dream, marks a profound cultural and political turning point in the United States. Remember, for decades, the American dream, which was rooted in home ownership, steady employment, rising wages, and upward mobility, was marketed as birthright, especially to white Americans. It was sold to reward for hard working and patriotism. Now, inflation soars, wages stagnate, public service deteriorate, and housing becomes unaffordable. The promise feels broken. But for many Black Americans and other marginalized groups, this dream was never truly accessible. The sorrow now spreading across white America is the delayed realization of the truth Black people have lived for generations about this. So buckle up for this video. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Tech Stories, and if you're watching us for the first time, kindly consider subscribing to the channel, join our membership, and get to learn so that you don't get to miss educative episodes about all these things that are happening around here. So let's watch the video. I'll be back.
I wouldn't go back. For $100 an hour job, I wouldn't go back. I would not go back at all. Getting up in the morning, doing what you have to do, and rushing to go and punch the clock to make somebody else rich. You get to decide what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. And us, we work really hard. So it pays off because we're working for ourselves instead of giving all our energy and everything to somebody else to make them rich so they can live a good life. In the U.S., we're kind of groomed to be an employee. You know, work for someone.
Like my friend said, he is in Ohio. He said, I have tried four times and I have to go back.
Really?
Yeah, 4 times. He said, man, I wish I can do it. Everybody wanted to come home. About 90%. Who wanted to get up in the morning and go and clock and, stress? Yeah, no, everybody wanted to come home, but they're scared that when they get home, the money will get finished and then they have to go back. you know, when you are in overseas, you might think that people like you, family members love you. But when you come here and stay, their attitude is different. Yeah, I think Ghana is expensive. Ghana is not what you think. When you convert the money to dollars, you might think that it's not expensive, but the money runs like river. So when you come and think that Ghana is cheap and you are coming to spend your money, like United States, you can't last. You will go back. Now, I don't think about to become a millionaire. I just want to live my simple life. If I can buy something, whatever I want, I can buy it. I'm okay. I don't want to be a millionaire. No, I don't.
Everybody's always asking me why I moved to South Africa. How did I choose Cape Town? Why am I thinking about moving to Durban? What do you mean why? Maybe this will help you understand why I want to live in Cape Town, South Africa, or Durban, South Africa for the rest of my days. For the foreseeable future, I want to be beachside. I love it here. The people are so nice. Everybody is so kind and friendly. The food is so fire. And the vibe is just different. If you're in the States, if you've ever been to Hawaii, it's similar, but not the same. Not the same. I lived in Hawaii for 3 years, and I would say that living in Cape Town is better. It's better. It's just better. It's just better. This is why I moved. People ask me every single day, why did y'all move here? Why did y'all choose here? Girl, can you see? The sun is setting. It's 4:30. This is winter in Durban. Yeah, so that's why, guys. That's why I moved.
Today is my last day here in my house. Tomorrow I leave for Bali indefinitely, and it just feels like very bittersweet, so surreal. And I truly, I love my house. I love my house. This has been my home for the past year and a half, where I've really sought refuge. This has been my haven. And yes, I'm moving to Bali, and it's very bittersweet, and it sucks. I just can't live here anymore. My children are here. I don't really speak to my family, but my children live here. They're 14 and 18 years old. I just don't want to be here. I don't want to be here anymore. I have lived here almost 40 years of my life. There's so much more to the world. There's so much more to the world than just this little piece of backyard, this house. There's so much to see, and I don't want to see it only 2 times a year, only 2 weeks a year. I want a vacation. I want to travel for all my life, but just know that there are sacrifices. There are sacrifices that are made. And this is one of them, having to give up my house yet again, willingly, but having to do this in order to get to what I want. This is the closing of a chapter and the beginning of another one, and it's beautiful, it's bittersweet, but at the same time, it's the bitter part now. It's the bitter part now.
Literally 90% of the people I come across is talking about leaving America, whether it's in real life or online. So many people are talking about leaving America. Even people who are white, straight, male, female, who are a little bit less affected by what's going on, are talking about leaving America. People are so uncomfortable. So many people want to leave this country. Never in a million years would I have thought that this would be a thing. I've been talking about leaving America for the last 1 or 2 years, but in the last few months, there are people in droves wanting to leave America. I personally want to leave because the stress of everything going on is just too much, and why have to deal with that if I don't have to? But I'm curious, why is everybody else leaving? I feel like I have an idea, but why is everybody else leaving?
Americans are leaving America, and it is not for vacation. It's for survival. A growing wave of Americans are packing up, terrified by Trump's dictatorship, Republican fascism, and Democrats' capitulation. Interracial couples, LGBT plus individuals, people of color, and intelligent people in general are seeing their rights replaced with restrictions. In Ireland, U.S. passport applications hit their highest level in a decade, up 60% in just 2 months. France is seeing long-term stay visas for Americans up 20%. Portugal, Spain, UK, relocation companies can barely keep up with demand. Traffic to Blacksit Global, which helps Black Americans relocate, surged 50% after the election. Some are leaving quietly, like a trans couple in Colorado, because Trump wrongly says there are only 2 genders. States are moving to ban gender care, so they're planning their exit. Google searches for how to leave the U.S. spiked after the election, and real estate deals for Americans in Spain surged before the Golden Visa program was shut down. European culture is different than American culture, and many won't adjust. And of course, Europe has its issues. Immigrations, taxes, Putin expected to take Moldova and then Romania with his eyes on the rest of Europe for the new Russian Empire. But a possibility of another European war is a safer bet than staying in a country that is already a fascist dictatorship.
I moved out of the US 5 months ago, and it was the best decision I've ever made. I was living in New York City, and then I accepted a job in Beijing and moved in February. It's been absolutely life-changing, absolutely life-changing. Since I left, I had American blindfolds on, and now being out of America, they're completely removed. I've realized so much being out of the States that the way that Americans live is not normal. The way that politicians are enacting laws and speaking to people and detaining people and shooting people, that's not normal. People don't live like that. And I think people of my generation and the generation below me have gotten so used to absorbing news like that of mass shootings and crime and hate crimes and these crazy laws that are stripping away their rights, that we're just kind of that's just how it is. This is normal. It's not. It's not. I walk around outside alone at night, and I've never once feared for my life here. I've never once experienced hate crime. I've never once witnessed hate crime. I've never once witnessed racism here in China. Some countries are worse than others, and I do know that there's a lot of countries that they have their issues, and there are racist people around the world and hate crime around the world. I do understand. But the way that America is set up, it's kind of like we're conditioned to just learn that this is just the normal way of life, and they're almost enabling it through the laws that they're passing and the rights that they're taking away. Needless to say, never been more stress-free living out of the States, saving so much money here. I'm traveling so much more. I'm meeting so many more people. I have the best community around me. I have the best job. I'm able to go to work and then go out for dinner and travel to another country that weekend and come back and work again. I've never been able to experience as much life as I am in these past 6 months than the first 25 years of my life. I can't express, you don't realize it until you leave. You do not realize how much you've missed out and how much you've been just tolerating until you leave. I'm very blessed, and the job that I accepted here helped me move, and they help with my living accommodation. And regardless, there's so many jobs that are hiring. English teachers, translators. It's so possible and it's so easy. I don't like how people are throwing their negativity out and saying, oh, well, it's too difficult, it's too expensive. It's not. Do your research. There's ways to do it. I would love to answer any questions that anyone has about moving or the visa process or what jobs are out here or what the price of rent is. I don't know everything because my situation's really specific, but I do know basic stuff here, and I would love to learn more and research more. So if you do have any questions, I would love to answer. I just do want you to know that it's so worth it. It's absolutely so worth it. Leave the country. Leave the country.
All right, guys, I'm just going to say it. I'm leaving the country because I can't see a doctor here. I'm self-employed. I pay hundreds of dollars a month for health insurance, and yet every time I need something, oh, your doctor's not in network. Oh, we don't cover that. Oh, we assign you your primary care doctor 4 hours away and he's booked until October. What am I even paying for? People always say, well, healthcare's bad in my country too. It can't be this bad. It cannot be this dire of a situation. There are no doctors here in Florida. Whatever long waits or paperwork you're dealing with, at least your system exists. I feel like here everything is such a paywall. It's like a maze that just leads to a trap every time. Ever since I got my own health insurance, I've been forced to switch every year because every single year the insurance companies drop my area and we're down to one left. This was the only plan I could get that wasn't $200 more a month. But less and less doctors are taking these plans. So no one can see the doctor, and the doctors you can find are booked out for like 4 months. When I did sign up for this plan, they told me that the doctor was covered that I already had, so I signed up for it. And then when I went to select my doctor, they're like, oh, never mind, they're not in network. So I'm done. I am just removing myself from this system because it does not work for me. I'm sure it does not work for many other people, but my solution is to leave it. I'm moving to Portugal. I know it's probably not perfect there, but it has to be better than what it is here, because at least there they have a system. Here, I don't know what's going on. It's collapsing. It's not working. I mean, I'd have to imagine at the very least, if I'm sick there, I can find a doctor and see a doctor. I don't think I'm being dramatic. This is the reality. We live in the country with the supposed best healthcare in the world, and I can't find a doctor. Does anyone else feel this hopeless, or is it just me?
I made this video on the 11th of May, 2025. The video is now getting a heavy rotation, more so than ever before it was posted. When I posted the video, it went viral immediately because it's a fact. This comment says, I work at Dulles Airport, which Dulles Airport is in Virginia. And when I tell you thousands, I've seen people leaving America for the past 2 weeks, I was like, what is this, an exodus? Yes, it is an exodus. A lot of people are conscious and aware of public and current affairs, what's going on in the United States, have decided for their own safety, for the safety and well-being of their family and their mental health, it's best to leave the United States. Okay, and of course, if you look at the Project 2025, that's their ultimate goal, to push people outside of the United States. They're pushing immigrants, black and brown people. But what's also going on is that a lot of Americans born in the U.S. are also leaving the United States because they do not feel safe and they do not feel like the U.S. government is working within their best interests at this point in time. Now, a good way of finding out more information about people leaving is what you'll notice is a lot of abandoned cars at airports, okay, or just sitting on the side of the road, or just left in parking lots. So what I do is I speak to tow truck drivers. If you know any tow truck drivers, you can speak to some of those guys and they'll tell you that you're just picking up cars left, right, and center all over the United States. Now, the hidden information, there's a lot of other data that you could use, right? Like what you won't find this information so easy. A lot of apartments are now being left abandoned. Abandoned apartments, homes are being left abandoned, and people are just going where they could find better living and a more safe environment to raise their families, so forth and so forth. And if you look at the U.S. today, it is nothing that it was advertised as being a first world country. The U.S. today is not a first world country, in my opinion. I would not even consider it a fourth world country, much more a second world or a third world country. It's way below a third world country, okay? And the reason is, look at what's happened. They're locking up people in concentration camps until death occurs, okay? There are people who are dying in these facilities, okay? They're asking for help. They don't have no medical care, hardly any medical care at a lot of these facilities. They lock people in these facilities for months, days, and weeks. A lot of them are dying. Okay, there's mass protests taking place all over the United States every single day for the last 6 months. And that ties into what Michelle Obama stated, that within 6 months, this administration will destroy the entire United States and tank the economy. Now you're seeing where they have this big, beautiful bill that will be signed into law, supposedly today, July 4, 2025. And when that take effect, more people will leave. Because the fact of life is that a lot of people are getting laid off. A lot of people are quitting their jobs. The jobs aren't paying much. So the crash of the whole thing, and the most important resource is the human resource, which is leaving. So with that, you'll have a big gap of companies collapsing because they cannot find adequate or sustainable labor to keep their companies going, which will lower production. On top of that, you got to add into that the tariffs that they enacted, which crippled some business who will not resurrect to this day. All right. So I expect the current climate, and they're ramping up ICE agents because in the big beautiful bill, they're more funding to expand ICE to become a bigger agent with more personnel, this, that. So of course, they'll probably be terrorizing people all over the streets more. There's no way the United States can be a first world country currently with what's going on. It's impossible. There's no first world country in this world that just chase people down and beat them on camera in broad daylight. Okay, a lot of times they're injured, some die, whatever the case is, okay? And building camps in the middle of a deserted place like Alligator Alcatraz down there in Florida where they're building this facility, okay? So if you look at these factors, no first world country do these type of things. So today, the word first world country does not apply to the United States. Okay, in my opinion and in the opinion of many other people, because the human suffering and cruelty that's happening in real time is very existent and it's spreading wider and wider. So the level of hatred towards people of color, brown people, so forth and so forth increase. So will you see more people exit the United States. And some of these people are just mostly concerned about their personal safety, their assets, their property, which brings up another story. A lot of people are liquidating their assets, right? Selling everything they have. Some people don't even care to sell stuff. They just get on a plane, leave their cars at the airport and just get out of here. So this is happening wide. And the funny thing about it is a lot of people who will be left in America, right? They don't want to do the jobs that they fought people away from. Okay, they don't want to do these jobs, and a lot of these jobs don't pay shit. You understand? So there you go. So I expect this video that this comment came from, it's just gonna keep getting views higher and higher and higher and higher, because you see, the thing is this: nothing can beat facts. That's just the bottom line of the bottom line. A fact is a fact, whether you like it or whether I like it. That's just it. You understand what I'm saying? So stay safe out there, and the people who are traveling and planning to leave or on their way leaving or contemplating leaving, be safe and catch you in the next video. Peace. I made this video on the 11th of May, 2020.
Remember, historically, the American dream was racially constructed ideal. Programs like the GI Bill, New Deal housing policies, and union protection disproportionately excluded Black Americans, while building a white middle class through home ownership, education, and employment in state-backed industries. Suburbs grew on the back of redlining and segregation, and white families accumulated generational wealth and Black families were locked out. For white Americans, this created a sense of security and exceptionalism. For Black Americans, it produced generations of struggle and systemic barriers. The pain white people now feel of economic uncertainty, loss, and despair is the result of the system that was never designed to be fair at all to begin with. Now, all these things, that the rules that they came with, that didn't even want, all these rules that they came with didn't had a chance to produce rich Black people. Of course, we have exemptions. We have rich Black people. But remember, during these periods, all the rules that were made, they were made to favor white-looking people. And this explains to you things that happen in Tulsa, the Tulsa massacre. All these growing Black cities state-owned that could change the lives of Black people were wiped out, were wiped away. But why? Because these meant for the growth and for the change of the lives of Black people. Take a look at Black farmers. When Black people were brought into the United States, not all Black people, of course, but when majority of Black people were brought into the United States, this is what happened. They learned the skill of agriculture and farming. And later on, when abolition of slavery happened, they were left, right? And these people, since agriculture is what they did the entire lifetime, they had the knowledge, they had the skills to do this. And these made white people that initially enslaved them, fearing for them being their competitors. And what did this do? This prompted white farmers to create a scenario that will push away Black farmers. And what did they do? They took large masses that belonged to Black farmers. They took all this land that Black farmers tilled. They took it all and they went with it. And now this shows you all these things that we're talking about. I'm also going to be talking about the unraveling of American dream today is not sudden event. It's the culmination of decades of neoliberal policies, deregulation, corporate greed, and austerity. Yet white Americans are now only confronting these outcomes with emotion and disbelief because they were insulated from them for too long. The deindustrialization that gutted Black urban centers in the 1970s is now impacting rural and suburban white communities. Job insecurity housing foreclosures, medical bankruptcies, and food insecurity are no longer distant headlines. They are personal tragedies. And these has triggered a collective mourning for a world they thought was guaranteed. That's how it happened. And that's how it happens, right? So, does that make sense to you? Of course, there are factors, that has led to the United States falling down, the United States being what it is, what is it today? It's being a laughingstock to all these things. A country that was one of the greatest, one of the feared countries. But when today people call the United States, it's becoming a laugh. Actually, I saw an article that was trying to say that the United States is becoming a third world. Of course, well, this is not true, but symbolically, look at the things that are happening. Same case to what happens in third world countries, right? All these crazy things that are happening today, that you're seeing that are happening. Now, this emotional collapse is also rooted in the myth of meritocracy. And I've been talking about this when I opened this video. Many white Americans were raised to believe that hard work would always be rewarded, that success was a matter of personal virtue. When confronted with economic hardship despite doing everything right, the experience is not just a financial loss but an identity crisis. For Black Americans, the myth of meritocracy has long been seen as a cruel lie, a cover for racial inequality and systemic exclusion. Now, as white families realize that the ladder is broken even for them, they are forced to reevaluate everything they were taught about fairness and opportunity in the United States. They say that pull yourself with your bootstraps. Something initially that when the system insulated white folks, they used to tell Black people, pull yourself with the bootstraps. But today I think the talk is turning back. Black people are also saying to them that you also need to pull yourself with the bootstraps, because this is something that really happened. And since you didn't understand the struggles that Black people are going through, and like right now you're facing the same things, the same struggles, you also need to pull yourself with the same very damn bootstraps. I'm also going to be saying a deep sense of betrayal runs through these breakdowns. White Americans often feel that their country has abandoned them. But in truth, the same system that now fails them was never a sanctuary for Black and brown people. The neoliberal state, with its prioritization of markets over people, profits over communities, and corporations over citizens, is finally revealing its full cruelty. What's perceived as sudden collapse is simply the mask falling off. The infrastructure that once protected white prosperity is crumbling. But why? Because it was never built to sustain equity. It was built to uphold racial and class hierarchies. That's what you need to understand. This system was built to uphold class hierarchies. It was all a lie. Now you understand why it didn't make sense for Black people. Now you understand it didn't make sense for Black Americans when they were crying for help. While the other side of people are seeing Black people as people who are lazy, people who are jokers, people who don't take things seriously. And that's how it really happened, and that's how it turned out. Well, I'm glad that right now people are getting to see the truth. People are getting to see, like, in reality, this is what Black people are saying. But indeed, it's happening. And that makes them to have a sense of betrayal. Now, this grief, while genuinely, also reflects the fall of whiteness as a psychological shield. For generations, whiteness promised protection not only maternally but socially. It provided status, invisibility from criminalization, and the benefit of the doubt. As those privileges erode in the face of economic collapse and social unrest, many white Americans are experiencing the fear of vulnerability that Black communities have long known. What they call the sorrow they express is not just economic, it's external. I mean, it's existential. It's the fear of being exposed to the same neglect and precarity that they once viewed as distant or undeserved. You see, in reality, when tables are turned, this is the thing that happened. And now the roles are reversed, and the pan is too hot to handle for white folks. I'm not bashing any white people, but hey, come on. We're just being realistic here. This is what is happening, and this is what happened to black people. So tell me why that right now it makes sense, while before it wasn't making any sense for you. So those are just questions that we are asking ourselves, because you are being subjected to the same very damn conditions that you subjected black folks. And they didn't say nothing. Within this crisis lies an opportunity, the chance to build a genuine solidarity across racial lines and class lines. If white Americans can move beyond grief to introspection, if they can recognize the dream was built on exclusion and exploitation, then a more honest and inclusive vision of America can emerge. But what requires listening to black voices have long critiqued the system, acknowledging historical wrongs and letting go of myths that upheld racial supremacy in exchange for shared liberation. But can they see that? I think racism is so much expensive, and that's what they valued, to the extent that it's really, really hard for them to recognize and see that. Unfortunately, not all responses to this grief are constructive. Some white Americans, rather than turning towards solidarity, are retreating into racial resentment, conspiracy theories, and authoritarian politics, blaming immigrants, people of color, or liberals. Becomes easier than facing the uncomfortable truth that capitalism and white supremacy are failing everyone. This reactionary turn threatens to worsen the very conditions they mourn, while deepening divisions that make collective solutions harder to achieve. I'm also going to be talking about the media coverage of this breakdown often centers the white experience, further reinforcing the narrative that white pain is the default barometer of national health. When white people cry, politicians respond. When black people protest, they met with police. This discrepancy is not just about media bias. It reflects a national psyche that still struggles to treat black suffering as legitimate and urgent. Even in collapse, whiteness centers itself in the narrative of American crisis. And this is how it happens. And still there are signs of awakening. Some white Americans beginning to understand that their pain is not isolated, and that the American dream was always a conditional promise. They're recognizing the economic justice. Healthcare, housing, and education must be universal and sustainable. They are learning that what is happening to them is what black Americans want about years ago. This moment of sorrow, if challenged, if channeled wisely, could be the beginning of the political maturity. And I'd like to end by saying that the tears and the breakdown of white Americans facing the loss of American dream symbolizes than just economic despair. They signify the unraveling of illusions, the exposure of systemic failure, and the collapse of racial guarantees that once masked injustice. For the nation to move forward, the grief must not lead to regression or scapegoating, but instead, it must inspire humility, truth-telling, and solidarity with those who have lived through America's failure for longer. Only by facing the truth can a new, more equitable dream be imagined and realized. Hello guys, I'm your host and presenter Agent of Stories, but until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salut.